Finally. For the late nights. Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at specifically the Club C85 Revenge shoes and the Club MEMT shoes. And we're going to be comparing them to the Club C85 vintage shoes and the regular Club C85s. So this is pretty much going to be like a part 2 to the original Club C85 comparison video where I compared the Club C85, Club C85 vintage, and the Club C85 TV. Definitely go check out that video if you guys want to know more about the Club C85 TVs, because I'm not going to be including them in this video. So just like the last comparison video, we're going to be comparing the price, some visual differences, leather quality, color, and lastly, comfort. After that, I'm pretty much going to be giving my opinion on which ones I believe you should buy. So let's get into it. So starting right off the bat with the prices, the Club C Revenge shoe retails for between about $70 to $80 depending on the colorway. The Club MEMT shoes retail for $59.99, so they're actually the least expensive out of all of these, seeing as the Club C85s retail for about $70, while the Club C85 vintage retails for about $75. Now for some visual differences, starting off with the Revenge shoes. The most obvious difference is going to be that striped colored underlay going across the shoe. That's like the main difference, but there are smaller differences. Like for example, the leather on the regular Club C85s actually looks like it is a little bit thicker than the one on the Revenge shoes. It's just a little bit thicker, but in my opinion it really contributes to the Club C having a little bit of a bulkier look than the Revenge. It could just be maybe it was made in a different factory and that's why the leather on these shoes seems a bit bulkier. It could also just be that it's my pair that, you know, has a maybe thicker cut of leather. I'm not really sure, so definitely take this with a bit of a grain of salt. But overall, like I said, Revenge shoe actually seems to be a bit sleeker, while the Club C85 shoe tends to look a little bit bulkier. The opening of the Revenge actually sits at the same height as the regular Club C, which I mentioned in my previous video that actually sits higher than the vintage shoe. I feel like the overall silhouette is more similar to the vintage than the regular Club C. Also similar to the vintage is the fact that it has the terry cloth lining. So the main difference pretty much is going to be that this one has the same cut as the regular Club C's, except the material seems to be a bit thinner, so the overall silhouette is more like the vintage, and this has the stripe going down and also the terry cloth lining. So that's going to be the main difference between this shoe and the regular Club C. Now for the Club MEMTs, the main difference on this one is going to be the fact that the upper actually has a different cut from the rest of the shoes. For example, it does have a similar stripe just like the Revenge, but it also does include a heel counter that the rest of the shoes don't have, and it also has little notches on the end of the toe overlay. Also, the rubber outsole is going to be completely different from the other Club C85s. It's completely absent of the little dotted pattern that it has on the other Club C85s, and instead we get this kind of striped pattern on the heel. Also, the tread pattern is completely different as well. We get a nice hexagonal pattern with some stripes. Also forgot to mention that the toe perforation pattern is slightly different as well. Also, the leather is the thinnest out of all the shoes, thus making it the slimmest and sleekest out of all the shoes as well. Now, I'm not a leather expert or anything. I'm just going to be explaining how I think the leather feels in my opinion. On the Revenge shoes, the leather is pretty soft, but it doesn't feel as soft as the vintage leathers. These ones have a extremely soft leather, but it also doesn't feel as kind of stiff as the regular Club C's. So it really kind of feels like it's, you know, that middle ground. So it's right in between the leather of these two shoes. As for the leather on the Club MEMTs, it definitely feels a bit more synthetic, which is pretty much to be expected since the leather is the thinnest and it's also the least expensive out of all the shoes here. If you guys want to know a bit more about the leather on the TVs, like I said, definitely go check out that first comparison video. Now on to the color for the Revenge shoes. The colorways definitely seem to be a bit more colorful for these ones when compared to the regular Club C's. They definitely use that stripe to definitely add a splash of color and to kind of help color block the whole shoe, which is very different to something like the Club C85. For the MEMTs, the colorways are actually a bit simpler. They're very similar to something like the regular Club C85s. On their website, they pretty much just have kind of the basic colorways that are very similar to the regular Club C85. So the Revenge has the most colorful colorways out of all the models, while the Club MEMTs are going to have more basic colorways similar to the regular Club C's. For the comfort of the shoes, all the shoes are going to be comfortable, but I'm obviously still going to rank them. So the most comfortable shoes in my opinion are going to be the vintage Club C85s. They have an EVA foam midsole that's lightweight and really helps with the comfort of the shoe. It also has this buttery soft leather that feels really good around the foot, especially in the toe box area. After that, surprisingly, I wouldn't pick the MEMTs with the memory foam insole. In my opinion, the Revenges and the regular Club C's are going to be more comfortable than the MEMTs. Reason for that is that the MEMTs have this thinner outsole, so you're going to be closer to the ground and you're going to feel more of it. Also, the memory foam insole really doesn't help much just because it compresses so easily. The other two have a thicker outsole and a responsive insole, so they just feel overall more comfortable. Kind of disappointed in the MEMTs. I was really hyped about that memory insole, but maybe after breaking them in, they'll feel more comfortable, but for now, they're going to be the least comfortable out of the four. So which one should you buy? If you really like the kind of old school styling of the Club C85, the kind of original styling, and you want the shoe with the most comfort, you really can't go wrong with the vintages. You're definitely going to want to pick up this pair. If you want more kind of like the basic Club C85, just pick up the regulars. They come in more colorways than the vintages, so the colorways are going to be more varied, and these are going to be at a good price. They're going to be $70. So I suspect that most people are going to choose, these two. These two are the more popular models. Now, if you want a shoe with more varied colorways and you like that stripe down the side, definitely the Revenge shoes. These are a solid pick. And for $70 to $80, depending on the colorway, they might be more or less expensive. But a nice plus is that you do get that terry cloth lining. Now, if you want the most bang for your buck, I would definitely recommend the MEMTs. They have a very similar styling. It's not identical, but it's extremely similar styling. The leather quality is going to be a bit lacking, but for $60, it's really a good value for the shoe, especially if you can get these on sale. So that's going to be it for the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Let me know down in the comments if there's any other shoes you guys want me to compare or you guys would like to see on the channel. I got more shoe content coming in the future, so definitely look out for that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. What's Reebok's slogan? Be more human? For real? That's a pretty horrible slogan. Could have been something like UK's finest, Bok Block, whole lot of Bok. Any of the slogans would have been 1,000 times better than be more human. They definitely need to change that.